What is going on, guys? Lee Sanders here with a special edition of our 30 with Lee series. This go round, SHAZAM. It is my SHAZAM movie review. Stay a while. Lee is the name. Movies is my game. You're checking out 30 with Lee. Hey, you all may remember me from another show, the RCWR show with Lee Sanders, covering all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. Do check that out. Comes on Tuesdays at 10:15 p.m. Eastern. We pretty much come on a couple of minutes after WWE SmackDown goes off the air, and we come on after every single WWE pay-per-view event. So if you cannot catch the show live, which comes at you all on Spreaker.com and also on YouTube, where you can catch the web stream, it's also available on the download and on demand for your favorite listening platform. So we are talking about SHAZAM, the movie. I had a great, unique opportunity to see this movie. I was able to see an early screening of this. I was able to see it on Saturday, March 23rd. Keep in mind, this movie is not supposed to be out everywhere until April the 5th. I repeat, not until April the 5th. This movie is not supposed to come out until maybe April 4th in some areas, just really depends on where you reside, but everywhere on Friday, April 5th. And I appreciate the fact that I was able to see this early screening. I'm glad I went. I remember seeing a little bit of the trailer a couple of months back when I had went to go see another movie, and I just was going, wow, this looks as though maybe they've got this right. And for me, when I look at certain characters of the DC universe, because I gotta speak from that comic book fan that's in me. For me, I always felt that Aquaman was one of the most underrated DC comic book characters. I also felt that Green Lantern was an underrated hero as well. So it was nice to see. I'm not going to say Green Lantern, because that last Green Lantern movie, that sucked major balls. But it was kind of good to see the Aquaman movie come to fruition. But for my standards, I felt that the Aquaman movie could have been 10 times better, right? You have so much source material and everything. I just felt, oh God, it's so cliche going with the whole, it's the end of the world as we know it. I get so tired of that whole spiel, right? I need something refreshing. And when I look at what's been happening with the DC movies, honestly, the past 15 years, it's been hit and miss. Now, the Dark Knight trilogy under Christopher Nolan, fantastic. The first Wonder Woman movie that came out, fantastic. I can't wait to see what happens with the sequel to Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot, my God, she is just amazing as Wonder Woman. She does a phenomenal job, okay? But other than those bright little spots, it's been a lot, right? A little bit cringeworthy. But, I mean, things are finally starting to look up for DC Comics, for DC Entertainment. It's finally looking as though they're finally focusing more on the quality and the presentation of these stories that they're trying to tell on the big screens. And everything for me just really, okay, I see what you're doing with Wonder Woman. Now we see what's going to be going down with Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. I can't wait to see that later on this year. And then you have this pleasant surprise of a movie in SHAZAM. And my God, SHAZAM, I have always loved the SHAZAM character. And one of the main reasons why I've always loved the SHAZAM character is because the story, it is such a simplistic story that really does not need that much rewriting in the entire world. It's the story about this little boy who daydreams just like all of us that used to be kids. Oh, if I had the power of flight, I would just fly all day in the skies. Or, oh, if I could have the power of invisibility, or if I could have the power of super strength, right? And this kid somehow is able to get a hold of these powers from a ancient wizard, right? Because the world is in trouble, and this wizard is the last of his kind, and he's dying. He knows he can't make it until he transfers his powers. He's trying to stay around long enough to transfer his powers to somebody who he feels is worthy and of pure innocence to be able to face the dark forces that is to come on the planet Earth and everything. It is such a simplistic story that how can you get that wrong? It's just a matter of, if you're trying to put this on the big screen, it's a matter of having the right casting, the seriousness as far as the execution and the directing, things of that nature. And this was a really huge collaboration as far as the companies involved in putting this picture together. Check this out. You've got New Line Cinema. You've got DC Films. You got the Safran Company. And then you have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's company, $7 Production, who, mind you, was one of the executive producers for Shazam. And this film was directed by one David Sandberg, and that name should sound familiar to you guys because he had directed The Conjuring. Again, The Conjuring, that should sound very familiar to you guys. Now, I'm not pulling any spoilers out there, but I do want to talk a little bit about this movie as far as the plot and everything, and I'm definitely not going to give away the endings, nothing like that. So if you're looking for spoiler free, you just want to get a good feel for the plot of the movie and just overall my interpretation of the movie, you've come to the right place. I have not been approached by DC Films. I have not been approached by any movie theater or anything like that. I just had an opportunity to, through Fandango, want to see an early showing, an early screening of Shazam? Yeah, sure. So this is not a paid endorsement in any type of way. So I'm giving it to you real and I'm giving it to you raw. So let's go ahead. Let's go right into this. So the role of Shazam is played by Asher Angel and Zachary Levi. And I gotta say, with regards to Zachary Levi, I never did particularly care for this dude. I remember him from the NBC series, what was it, Chuck? I remember him from there, and I couldn't stand the guy. I just, he irritated me. I don't know why, but I never did like the guy. But, you know, after watching him in Shazam, now I like the dude. And I actually want to go back and I want to see what other stuff he's done that hopefully I'll enjoy as well. So any Zachary Levi fans, you want to throw some recommendations out there to me, you're more than welcome to do that. But he did a really good job in portraying the Shazam character, everything that I could remember reading about in the comics and everything. And I also got to give it up to one Asher Angel. Asher Angel, 16 years old, a child actor. I mean, he's pretty much been in front of the cameras almost since birth. He's pretty much known for the 2008 film Jolene. And he's also known for his role as Jonah Beck in the 2017 Disney Channel series Andy Mack. So his face should definitely look familiar to you guys if you know your DC stuff, all right? So you have this young boy named Billy Batson as Asher Angel and Zachary Levi both have dual responsibilities, portraying that character of Billy Batson. You know, this young boy, Billy, he ultimately gets chosen as the champion of eternity, and he's given the powers by an ancient wizard who basically transforms him into an adult with superpowers whenever he speaks that wizard's name. Just say his name, which is Shazam, and boom, he gets hit with the powers. Now, why did this wizard give Billy Batson the powers? Well, he gave him the powers because dark forces were about to come loose on the planet Earth. You had these dark forces that were going back and forth with the wizard. The wizard has been, I want to say, a groundskeeper. I think that's really the nice way we can put it delicately, is that Shazam, the wizard, is basically a groundsman. He is guarding these dark evil souls, kind of like the 7 deadly sins, basically, right? Greed, lust, envy, all that stuff, all right? You know the whole spiel if you know your Bible and everything, right? And over the years, Shazam has been trying to find somebody that is pure, whose heart is as pure as gold, that is worthy of having his powers. One of the people that, oh, all right, well, maybe this kid is kind of promising, was one Thaddeus Savannah, who is portrayed by Mark Strong. Mark Strong, you guys should definitely know. Mark Strong, he's known for Stardust, Rock and Rolla, Body of Lies, Sherlock Holmes, Kick-Ass. I mean, what hasn't this guy done, right? Veteran actor, great touch and everything. I always enjoy Mark Strong's performances, top-notch stuff, right? So we see Thaddeus as a young kid who is just head lost in the clouds. We see that his dad and his brother are treating him like freaking garbage. It's like if you were to ever had a deadbeat dad and a brother that you just despise, this was just the perfect combination for you. And can I give a mad shout out, right? I gotta give a mad shout out to the guy that played Thaddeus's dad, veteran actor John Glover, who should be no stranger to the DC universe. If you know your DC stuff like that, you don't have to necessarily know the comic books, but if you were ever a fan of the CW hit series Smallville, you remember his tenure there as Lionel Luthor, Lex Luthor's dad, nominated for a couple of awards for his portrayal. I was heartbroken when they had finally got rid of him. I tell you, the show for me just started to kind of go a little bit downhill. I go so far back as being a fan of John Glover. I remember him from the Fox short-lived series Brimstone. And it told the story of this cop, a good cop, a Chicago cop, portrayed by Peter Horton from 30-something. And he was a good cop, played everything by the book. One day, he gets shot and killed. And he goes to hell. And he negotiates a deal with the devil, who is portrayed by one John Glover. John Glover says to him, hey, look, you can use your police detective skills and all that. Do what you need to do to help me find and bring back to my realm 113 souls. 113 souls of the devil that belong to the devil escaped his realm. So he uses Ezekiel to go and find all of these souls. So those were one of my first earliest and fondest memories of John Glover, was from the Brimstone series on Fox. It lasted about 13 episodes, kind of looked a little bit promising as if it was going to get picked up, but eventually it had got the axe. And for the longest time, there was a petition that was put out there to bring the show back, and it just didn't happen. How much did I love that show? I love that show so much, I eventually went on a bootleg site where somebody had recorded all the episodes in top-notch quality, no commercials and all that, and they had put it on a really nice DVD and everything, artwork, disc, all that looks very professional. So it was awesome of all the people to have a dad that you would just, man, I hate that dad. He's he's a piece of shit. It would be John Glover to be that dad, right? So I thought that was kind of nice that they had him in that role and everything. But you had young Thaddeus as a kid, probably 9-10 years old. He gets transported to Shazam's lair and gives him the whole spiel about how he's been waiting for one to transfer his powers to. And young Thaddeus failed the test because the 7 deadly sins, they basically won him over. Luckily, he did not get the powers of the dark side then, because Shazam still had the powers to strong arm, basically deny the kid and stop those dark forces in consuming the child. But this was such a traumatizing experience for young Thaddeus to basically be told, you're not good enough, that it just warped his brain. It made him feel power driven. He was just driven with such ill intentions that as he got older, he just My God, and it's kind of understandable why. He basically was using his dad and brother's company to further his research in finding that place where he was as a kid so he could somehow get those powers back, because basically he wanted to get revenge on Shazam the Wizard. So I won't put anything out there. I'm not going to spoil anything out there for you guys, but somehow an older Thaddeus is able to obtain the dark powers. Now, what is going on with young Billy Batson? Well, Billy Batson, we see that he has been in and out of group homes, and you think, well, what's going on with this kid? Why is he being so difficult? Why doesn't he just try to fit in with the adoptive families that he's with? What the hell is going on? Well, it's quite simple. What's driving him, what's fueling him, is that he knows deep in his heart, hey, somebody out there loves me. It is my own mom, and I just got to find my way back to my mom. Somehow me and my mom, we got separated many, many years ago, and I know she's been looking for me just as much as I've been looking for her. And you kind of know early on, with such a predictable plot like that, you kind of know early on that that's probably not going to end well for young Billy Batson. Either it's going to be a case where eventually he finds out his real life mother has passed away some time ago, or maybe it was a case where maybe the mom just did not want to have anything to do with Billy, right? So you're kind of thinking of those scenarios and entertaining other ideas, but the process of elimination, it's very predictable early on, and you kind of get the vibe of, well, I don't know, Billy, maybe if your mom was really serious about looking for you, it wouldn't have taken all of these years, right? Because when you first see the flashbacks of a young Billy that gets separated from his mom, my God, young Billy is probably maybe 7 years old, and you fast forward to the present day, Billy is 14, 15 years of age. So wait a minute, it's not going to take that long just to be reunited with your parent. Either they want you or they don't want you, right? So that's what's going on with young Billy. Just to put something else out there for you guys, for you all that follow The Walking Dead, there is a beloved character. I will give this much from the Kingdom side that you'll see and recognize in this movie that you guys will definitely go, hey, all right, cool. So eventually we see that young Billy Batson does acquire the powers of Shazam, as he's told what all is going on with the adult Thaddeus, who now has control of the dark powers that we were talking about earlier and everything. And it pretty much just makes a really fantastic case of, a young kid that's trying to figure out his place in the world with these new powers that he has, trying to make sense out of everything that's happening to him. So awesome. It has a really great touch of Tom Hanks Big, so much so that this is very easy for people to miss if you don't know your movies. But there is a really cool kick-ass fight scene that involves Shazam and Thaddeus, and it takes place inside of a mall, and that's all I'm gonna say, as there is big homage to Big, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I see it. Don't look too hard, otherwise it's gonna fly right over your head and everything, right? So the ultimate good versus evil is pretty much how everything comes about with this movie. Rounding off the rest of the cast, as I mentioned at the top, we had Asher Angel, Zachary Levi. You also have Mark Strong. You have Jake Dylan Grazer, Digimon Honsoa. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name right. You guys got to forgive me in advance. Grace Fulton and Michelle Borth. Ian Chen and Ross Butler. Jovan Armand and DJ Cortana. Let's see. You also have Faith Herman and Megan Good. Cooper Andrews and Martha Milans. Those are just some of the names I'm going to read to you for now. For those of you that are maybe looking for some type of a Justice League reference, some type of a Superman reference or a Batman reference, there is acknowledgement, serious acknowledgement of all of those guys. Serious acknowledgement. Not so much what transpired from the Justice League movie. There is just acknowledgement of those characters that they do exist. You see one particular, I'll give you guys one scene. One scene in particular, you have young Billy who is talking to his buddy. Oh, God, what's his buddy's name? I think his buddy's name is Freddy. And Freddy shares with him a Ziploc bag as he paid top dollar to get a hold of a bullet that bounced off of the chest of Superman. So, little stuff like that. And then he also somehow managed to get a hold of a Batman Batarang replica. It's not the real deal. It's just a replica. So there is acknowledgement that, okay, in this world, these guys do exist. So much so that by the end of the movie, not going to spoil it, there's something really cool that ties into the whole Justice League of those characters that I had mentioned as far as them being acknowledged. Again, not putting any spoilers out there. Can I just say, now that I've basically given you guys the basic plot line, right? Young 14, 15-year-old kid. All he wants to do is be a kid, but he has these powers now. And the whole entire world rests on his shoulders. And he doesn't really realize, nor does he fully grasp that, okay, you have been bestowed these great powers. You are the champion of the people. You are a hero to these people. You need to protect them. You need to be their savior. At first, he doesn't grasp any of this, nor should he, because he's a kid. He is just trying to learn about these powers and do all of these cool little shenanigans with these powers that early on you can see he's not guided, he's not focused. Okay? Can I just say that I never was really that much of a big fan of the Harry Potter series. I was more of a fan of the Lord of the Rings trilogy and all that. But I gotta say, as I got older, I started to have appreciation for the Harry Potter series. And I started to have even more appreciation for the Lord of the Rings. And you pick a little bit of that up when you are watching Shazam. That's not a bad thing. I don't want people to feel like that's a turnoff. You should not feel turned off from that. But it has those nice elements to it. Tom Hanks, big movie. All right. That's another one that you can incorporate as well. And the balance of it fits so well and pays such great homage to a character that has been around, my God, since 1940. All right. There has been so many pause, restarts with this Shazam franchise as far as all the realms of entertainment. When you look at the comics in particular, okay, not to mention the ongoing battle that went down with DC and Marvel Comics. And originally, just so you guys know, originally Shazam, no, that's just what DC Comics eventually ended up going with. The character was always named Captain Marvel. But because of what was going on with Marvel Comics and they had their own character called Captain Marvel and everything, it was just an ugly lawsuit that had went down. And so eventually DC Comics just said, okay, well, let's just go with Shazam. And when they did their new reboot, I guess it was part of the New 52 series line or whatever. That's when they pretty much did some retweaking with the story and everything and pretty much had said, nah, Billy Batson has always acknowledged himself as Shazam, the powers that were bestowed upon him, Shazam, yada, yada, yada. But when you go back and you look at Shazam, I do have fond memories of Shazam. As I had got older, being a product child of the 80s and all, I remember seeing from Republic Pictures the black and white serial of Shazam. I remember the 1970s live action series that was on CBS. It ran from 75 until maybe about 77. Ooh, if you can sit through that, more power to you, because that is cheesiness at its freaking finest, let me tell you. You also had the Kid Superpower Hour with Shazam that ran on NBC Saturday morning. It's part of their whole Saturday morning cartoon lineup. That was around 1981 into 82. So there's been many instances where, not just in the comic books, but you could go to television, you can go to film as well. And this movie has been almost 10 years in the making, because as early as 2008, this movie had been supposed to got the ball rolling, but there were so many hiccups along the way that things didn't really finally start coming into fruition until about 2014, right? But for all the time that went into, okay, for everything to align themselves to where it is now, this movie, let me tell you something, man. In all my years of watching movies, never have I wanted to see a movie twice. Never have I wanted to be a paying customer and see a movie twice. But after I got done watching Shazam, I told my girl, I said, my God, this movie was so damn good. And I really wished I would have been able to take her. But sadly, by the time I had got my ticket, we wouldn't have been sitting next to each other in the theater, sadly. We would have been many, many, many seats apart. So we wouldn't have been able to talk to each other. So I sadly ended up seeing this by myself. But I told her, I said, this movie was so good. Hey, when it comes out everywhere, I'm going to take you to see it. You're going to enjoy it. You'll dig it. Because she likes some of those comic book movie stuff. She likes the comic book movies. Even though she doesn't really follow the comic books, she likes a really good comic book movie. As long as the story is simple and everything is pretty straightforward. And this is one of those movies where it's definitely straightforward. It is a movie where if you are someone, I would say in your 20s and up, so 30s, 40s, 50s, or whatever, you're okay. You can definitely go see this movie, and it is aimed towards adults to a degree. It's not kid friendly. There's definitely cursing. There's some sexual things in nature that, that is covered in the movie that I won't put out there, but this movie, it is actually great for all ages. It is a movie that you can definitely take your kids to go see. Great bonding experience and everything. So you guys that have not gotten an opportunity to see this, thanks to maybe checking out an early screening in your local area, well, when it comes out everywhere on April 5th, I highly would encourage you to go see this. It really, trust me, very rare do I really try to go out of my way to put over a movie, but this one, remember how refreshing and how revigorating it was when we had got the first Spider-Man movie? I'm not talking about the one with freaking Tobey Maguire and all that. I'm talking about the one with Tom Holland. Remember the first Spider-Man movie that we got? Well, I'm telling you, with regards to everything with that, and look, Spider-Man Homecoming, we know that is going to do phenomenally well. That is going to do phenomenally well. Okay? But with regards to Spider-Man Homecoming, I'm telling you, Shazam kind of has that same vibe almost, but it also incorporates everything as far as movie examples that I talked about a few minutes ago. You can't go wrong with it, and they really did a great job in sticking to the script as far as the original blueprint from the comic books. So great job with all of that, and the casting as well. Great job with all of that. So really, sincerely, make it be your business. Check out this movie. You will definitely thank me later. I promise you. The visual effects, everything is on point. Zachary Levi does a fantastic job as young Billy / Shazam. He does a phenomenal job. So quirky and geeky, nerdy, and at the same time honest, very innocent. Like I just love the way he approaches it. It also has a God, what's that DC comic book character that Superman would come across from time to time? I want to say Booster Gold. He also has that vibe to him as well. And if you know anything about Booster Gold, how he is just this egotistical, kind of like the Tick, right? If y'all know your characters, you know the character of the Tick. He kind of has that whole Tick meets Booster Gold vibe to him as well, right? I love the way Zachary Levi had approached this role. It really, really lived up to the comic books, I would have to say. So if you've never checked out a Shazam comic book, you're gonna be okay. If you're just one of those type of people, you want something cool to check out in the theater, you're a fan of the comic book movie adaptations, this is definitely going to be up your alley, because I can't tell you how many people who have not picked up a comic book see these films. Oh, it's based off of a comic book. And then now they become a comic book fan, and now they want to go grab everything they can from their local comic book store as a result. Go out of your way, check it out. It gets 2 major thumbs up from me. I would say that this movie, from a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the crap, 10 being the awesome sauce, I would honestly give this movie a 9 out of 10. If I were to find any type of negative thing to say about it, my God, it would just really be petty. Honestly, I would have loved it if we would have seen Black Adam. That really would have been badass. If we could have seen that, oh my God, I would have been cool. But hey, that's a different topic for another time. But I can't wait. I can't wait to see Zachary Levi, Shazam, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Black Adam collide. Oh, that is going to be so freaking awesome. For those of you that had the opportunity to go see Shazam, if you were able to see an early screening, sound off. Let me know what you had thought about the movie. You can definitely post your comments all throughout social media. I have a web stream version of this available, so for those of you that's checking out the web stream version of this, maybe via YouTube, definitely leave your comments below and let me know. And you can always send your feedback to me all throughout social media: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords the RCWR show. And hey man, if you're new, welcome. I would love to have you as a regular follower, so please make sure you do hit the subscribe button and stay connected to me all throughout social media so you never miss out on all the great content that comes your way on a regular basis, as we do a lot of cool stuff for you guys multiple times a week. All right, so that's going to do it for now. I am wishing all of you all to be safe, and most importantly, be kind to one another. Thank you all for checking out this special edition of 30 with Lee. Remember, Lee is the name and movies is my game. You have been checking out 30 with Lee. For more episodes of 30 with Lee, do consider being a Patreon member. Patreon.com/RCWR show. For just $5 a month, you get exclusive audio and video access to content you're not going to be able to find anywhere else. Sometimes we release content that is not made available to the public until days later, so our Patreon members get first dibs. And then in other cases, we have content where it's just Patreon exclusive only. It's never accessible to anybody else. So do sign up. Patreon.com/RCWR show. Till next go around, wishing all of y'all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. Adios.